From the 8-bit arcade games to the realistic console games that exist today, video games have been a huge part of entertainment since the 1970s. Raking in more than $20 billion a year, the gaming industry earns more revenue than the entire Hollywood movie industry. From the occasional casual gamer playing games on their phones to the hardcore serious gamers on consoles and the computer, there have been all sorts of games to satisfy a variety of interests. Of these thousands of games, a new genre called MOBA games, or Multiplayer Online Battle Arena, was born. With the enormous growth of these MOBA games, the esports community of competitive gamers, as well as those who watch and follow the competition, had expanded tremendously. The most popular games in esports have ranged from console shooters such as Halo and Call of Duty, to the even more popular computer games including RTS games such as Blizzard's StarCraft and Warcraft, MOBA games such as Dota, and its second installment Dota 2, and now as the most watched and played video game on both the casual and competitive scene, League of Legends. The growth of League of Legends took not only the video game community but the entire world by storm with its popularity. Since its release, more than 12 million people in the world come online to play each day, and there are over 32 million people worldwide who are active users. With servers in Europe, Australia, Asia, and now even in South America, it has reached a level of recognition that until now, no video game has really reached before. The popularity of the game speaks for itself when the thousands of tickets for the World Championships Grand Finals this year at Los Angeles' Staples Center were sold out in under 20 minutes. The esports scene continues to thrive, much of it due to League of Legends, opening up hundreds of job opportunities and full-time careers. Competitive players for League of Legends have been recognized on the same level as athletes for other professional sports such as the NBA or NFL in order to require travel visas for tournaments. But the game has grown and branched out from the typical video game boundaries, and with the recognition that it and its creators at Riot Games receives, instead of basking in their own glory, the players and anyone involved with the game have made a positive impact, directly affecting the real world. A clear example of the positive effect the League of Legends community and its well-known figures can have in the real world was proven through a charity stream done by YouTube personality and popular League streamer, CivHD. In just over 12 hours of streaming on September 8th, 2013, his supporters, fans, and the overall League of Legends community raised over $107,000 to donate to the Save the Children Foundation.
I'm really proud of the League of Legends community.
In 2011, Riot Games donated over $160,000 to the Red Cross Foundation, helping the Japanese victims of the tsunamis and earthquakes, utilizing the popularity of the game and the help from the gaming community to directly do good and have a positive impact in the real world. And where such positive impact branches out into the world on a large-scale professional level, there is bound to be inspiration for much smaller branches to do the same. One such branch takes us to the city of Surrey in Canada, to a young man named Keith Knight.
League of Legends, a video game that sends online players into a battle arena. Dozens of players manipulate the characters as they take part in the Vancouver Gaming League Live tournament in Richmond. And there to inspire the crowd,
and the way I play it is quite unique.
An unlikely gamer.
I think sports are kind of act as a force for kind of bringing about equality in some ways.
In a world where using your hands is necessary, Keith Knight, who plays under the name Aieron, has come up with a unique way to play video games. He starts belly down on his bed. His cheek and ear manipulate the mouse. His chin works the keyboard, and a pen is in his mouth. He even uses his foot.
As you can see in the webcam, there's little switches by my feet.
Keith has muscular dystrophy, a neuromuscular disorder that progressively weakens muscle tissue. And here's something you wouldn't expect to hear when it comes to gaming. Keith says his hobby is physically helping him.
Legs will get more fragile as they get older, so it's a good way to actually build the muscle and keep the leg active, which is good for me.
But Keith doesn't just play for his own pleasure. He does it for his friends who also live with muscular dystrophy. Unfortunately, after losing some friends to the disorder, Keith wants to help Muscular Dystrophy Canada by raising money to find a cure. Already, through a couple of marathon games, he's been able to bring in over 10 grand for the organization and raise awareness.
That's my first pentakill ever. When you're in a wheelchair, first kind of impression someone has of you is that, something's also wrong with your mind, which isn't the case.
Keith proves that point. He's in his final year of business school and he dreams of working in the gaming industry. He hasn't let his physical limitations hold him back, and he's been able to create a real world of friends in the meantime.
Alright, so my name's Keith Knight. On League of Legends, my name is TheAieron, and I'm 26 years old. I attend Polytechnic University. I'm 3 courses from having my business administration degree, so it kind of focuses in entrepreneurial leadership rather than marketing or other things like that.
My name is Joshchungfilms, and I'm a professor here at Polytechnic University, and I teach in the Entrepreneur Leadership Program. Keith is a student of mine in the 4th year sales class. I met him for the first time in May when he showed up in my very first class. He and I had swapped emails at one point. I put an offer out to the students to be able to attend an industry luncheon 3-4 months ago maybe, and he was one of the students who responded to it, but I'd never actually met him. I'll say yes and no. I've had a few students. I've taught here for 15 years. I've had a few students who are in wheelchairs or have had special needs. So it wasn't off guard. And the email I mentioned, when he asked to attend the luncheon, his first question was, is it wheelchair accessible? So I kind of had a heads up. What caught me off guard, to be honest, was his condition. Here was this young man who rolled into my classroom and very limited use of his limbs.
Well, muscular dystrophy is kind of an umbrella term for over 150 different neuromuscular disorders. My particular one is called amyoplasia arthrogyposis, and mine's kind of unique because most muscular dystrophies are actually degenerative, so they lose their muscle as they get older, whereas I just wasn't born with a lot of muscle tissue. And also, as part of my condition, my joints became really stiff and fused in place, so I can't bend my arm or legs for the most part, very small range of motion. So yeah, that's pretty much my condition. It's very simple to understand. I don't have many other needs medical-wise. My breathing's a little weaker than normal, but that's about the only other issue. Alright.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, so we'll be adjourned at 4.
Alright. Alright.
Okay, love you.
Bye.
I'm his paternal grandmother, and I help him get ready for school, and I take him to university, and I take him to his doctor appointments. I drive him around, I help him get ready, just brushing his teeth and washing his face and combing his hair and all that kind of thing, and then I buy things for him. If he needs things for his plays, I go and buy those things, or Rick will go and buy them. Rick, a lot of times, my husband, he picks up stuff for Keith too. He's really good about that. I buy some clothes for him. He has to inspect them, make sure they're okay, and if not, I take them back. But that's sort of, and then sometimes we go out to movies, and sometimes we go to dinner.
So where are we going to eat?
White spot.
White spot.
White spot.
Right?
You say so. It might explain a lot of things.
So how does this setup work? Yeah.
for like tying me down. We only have 3 because there's one that's broken, but they just clamp onto the floor and it ties my wheelchair down. Makes it easier for him to film it. Depends what I'm doing. If I'm going to school, I'll get like woke up in the morning. They help me with getting dressed and you know, washing up and everything. The people here. Yeah, the people here do. And then usually I'll be here till like lunchtime, eat my lunch because my classes are usually in the afternoon. And then my grandparents will show up. They'll help me get in my wheelchair, wash me up again, so I'm ready for class. Put my phone in my wheelchair. And then they drive me to class. If I'm not going to class, if I'm going out somewhere else, I will usually transit, which means the staff here have to lift me into my wheelchair using a sling, which is a bit harder to do than just, well, not harder, it's just more inconvenient than how my family and friends lift me, because they just lift me using their arms. But the staff here legally have to use a sling to lift me.
Yeah, that's okay.
We're fast and furious when we did.
And frightening.
Foot first, right?
Yeah. There you go. Good job.
Well done, sir.
You remember how to do it. That's good.
Yeah.
The seatbelt's jammed though. A little bit. Yeah. Then if I'm going out, I'll transit. Thankfully, where I live, it's really close to the SkyTrain, and you can get pretty much anywhere from the SkyTrain, so it's really convenient, and I enjoy it. It's kind of relaxing transiting because you get to see a lot of different people, and I get to have everyone stare at me and I just laugh. So, and then little kids will like walk by and be like, "What's wrong with him?" And like, it's funny. I find it entertaining at least.
So first, we all lived in a 750 square foot condo, and he lived in a den for about 4 months, and then he was chosen to live at Freedom Place. He was the first person chosen, and he got to choose whichever apartment he wanted. Now, this is all funded by healthcare. So Keith has to pay some money to live here, but the majority of it is funded by healthcare. So you apply, and they interview you, and then they choose people who are appropriate. Like for Keith, this is what's called an assisted living building in BC. And you have to be able to feed yourself to live in an assisted living building. Most people go down to the dining room for meals, but they agreed to bring Keith his food here so he can feed himself lying down, like you've seen him do. And so that's how come he was able to be accepted. If he didn't live here, it could have been a lot harder. He could have had to live in an extended care facility with older people and in a place where you would share just a room. So it was good. It was really great that he got chosen for here, and he was chosen when it was brand new and was the first person, like I said. So he moved in. He lived in our little apartment for about 5 months, and then he moved in here.
Perfectly, eh? Yeah. And then you use the controls to move yourself around, eh? Yeah. So how does it work? If you want to go forward, you press that way. Back. That's backwards. Back. Yeah. And if you want to go over there, which way would you put it? That way. That way. And this way? What would you do? That way. Oh, brilliant. That's enough.
I think the care, Mark, for me, the care of Keith is very hard. It's always been very hard for me. And for Mark, he has kind of he says it's obvious, it needs to be done, that's it.
Exactly, I want to be a father and to do things like father and son things, just like
very important things in life, father-son things.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about, at this point in my life, I'm not worried about what people think of me or how they view me so much anymore. When I was younger, it bothered me more, but now it's like, if they don't accept who I am, it doesn't really matter to me, so. Pretty much overcoming like the difficulties. It's kind of a long process, like, but everyone kind of has their own different obstacles and struggles in life, so I don't think it's much more different for me than, say, someone else. But the way, a huge part of what helped me get by it was playing wheelchair soccer, and then also later on playing like computer games and video games. I made a lot of friends online through that.
Each chair has a bumper to prevent injuries and also to control the ball. At 10 years of age, Keith Knight has mastered the game, recently voted MVP.
I'll try. Really try. He has the energy and the fantastic spirit and encourages all other children and all other teammates to play and to have fun.
I'm 23 years old, and I know Keith from school. Yeah, we both attend Collins Polytechnic University. We're both in the entrepreneurial leadership program. I met him last summer in a class that we were doing together. It was like a group project type of situation. Well, obviously you're kind of like, more curious at the very first. You're kind of like, oh, like he's kind of, you know, he's got a little bit of like his limbs are like smaller, so you kind of look and then you're like, oh no, I'm looking at somebody, this might be kind of awkward, so you kind of look away. And then you're like, and then we got to know each other and he just turns out being just an average guy. We can just have a bunch of accounts that are your, like, Keith's son.
So Keith, what are you doing right now?
I am lying on my bed because I'm tired.
Yeah?
Yeah. Gonna go out for dinner soon.
Experience with him, he's never shown up at class without a smile on his face or a twinkle in his eye. He's got this easygoing way about him. I chuckled when you talk about how much time he spends gaming, and I think he should be spending that time studying as his teacher. But he's been an absolute breath of fresh air to have in the class. You know, the typical stereotypical student is work is hard, life is difficult, the professor hates me. If I could, bottle his energy and sell it, I mean, we'd all be eating like kings. He has this very easygoing way and a very, very, very quick sense of humor. I've always enjoyed that about him, and it's one of the first things I came to understand about him is that this young man just has a lightning fast sense of humor, and so I get to have fun with him in the classroom. He doesn't back away. He doesn't hesitate to come up and ask me questions during the break. And he's never asked for any kind of special consideration, which I find it interesting, and I think it speaks volumes about the kind of man that he is.
You wouldn't expect someone with a disability as severe as Keith to be that outgoing, but he's outgoing. He says what's on his mind, and he's really funny. So, I mean, Keith's sense of humor for sure is one of the things that stood out for me. Big time. And then just having, his outgoingness, like you're pretty amazed that someone can be that outgoing and not care what people think, really.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
You're never fully over those obstacles, they always keep coming. And I see that a lot with my friends with muscular dystrophy, and they have to face more challenging obstacles than I do, because a lot of my friends have Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, which is quite serious because most of them won't live into their 30s. So my kind of what kind of led me to want to kind of use my interest in gaming towards charities and awareness and that kind of stuff was really my friend passing away a few years ago. After that, I really wanted to get motivated into doing more for muscular dystrophy.
So I didn't know that when we first met, but over time we kind of talked about like what he does for hobbies, and he says that he played League of Legends. I'd played it before, but not really that much, so I kind of knew. But I didn't know that he like streamed and raised money and stuff like that.
My name is Jean. People know me as KireiAutumn. I started playing League about 2 years ago and started streaming about 1.5 years ago. And I think it was not until I went onto Twitch TV from Own3D that I actually heard of Keith first. I think it's actually great because I think a lot of people have this kind of idea that video games are for like the losers or the nerdy types and whatnot. But I think League of Legends is definitely a clear example that games aren't just for the others, you know, like the less popular kids. Like I've seen plenty of people that I wouldn't have expected them to play video games that are like actually really into League of Legends. And I think that's one thing that's great about it, because League of Legends doesn't only like, you know, bring a community together, but it actually brings out I guess like the good in people, like what Keith does. A lot of other streamers I know like have done charities and stuff and use League of Legends as kind of their I guess medium to get there, like
the bouncing board.
Yeah, kind of like the bouncing board, I guess, because a lot of people enjoy playing League of Legends and a lot of people enjoy watching the streams of League of Legends. I mean, it's probably most of the time the first game that you see on the homepage.
No, I think the video games are really, really important for good. Especially people who might have trouble making friends, or people who might be socially awkward or whatever. You can just jump into a video game and play, and people don't care. Like, people don't care who you are, like what you are, what sexuality you are, what race you are, as long as you're good at the video game. And I think that that's a really inclusive thing, like, apart from people who are bad at video games like me.
Yeah, I definitely think that Keith uses something that's definitely maybe our parents' generation think of as maybe a waste of time, but he's using it as a vehicle to generate positivity and good within, you know, the community, especially his specific community that he deals with on a daily basis. I think League is known for having quite a toxic player base by some standards, and I think that a lot of the feedback that he gets from that community is really positive. So I think that also gives him a way to kind of elevate the kind of the view that the public has of the gamer community. Say, hey, I'm a guy and I like to raise money for cancer research and I'm streaming, and it kind of gets that awareness that, okay, so these guys aren't just, you know, basement dweller neckbeards that, you know, are trash talking everybody. They're actually trying to donate money to a cause and, you know, have a positive impact on things.
I think it speaks to the individual. And I mean, I joke about he needs to spend more time on his schoolwork, because it's something I always say to all of my students, you know, TV, the internet, whatever, spend the time productively. But clearly that's what he's doing, is spending his time productively. And it's not just about gaming, it's about raising money and creating awareness. And that's one of the things that's always struck me about Keith, is that he is the type of individual, it's about having a greater impact, whether on a community or his broader society.
You know, and he really likes doing things like that. He really wants to raise money for muscular dystrophy and help his friends. You know, he has so many friends who have Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, and their lives are very short, or have been in the past very short. They're a little bit longer now, but they're still very short. So he wants to make sure that that people with muscular dystrophy maybe can be around a longer time and be healthier. So I think the fundraising is online, on esports, is a good thing to do.
I think that's what's great about the League community, because I think most of the time people forget that there are actually like genuinely kind-hearted people that play the game. It's not just trolls or like ragers. or people that are complete like idiots, like in their solo queue game, for example, right? Like there's actually people that, you know, care about more things than just video gaming. Video gaming is just what brings them together in the first place, or makes them realize that there's more to it, you know?
My whole thing with gaming is the esports end of it that I find is sports have always brought people together. They've always been kind of an outlet for people to get over their differences. That's one reason the Olympics is so big. And I see esports as kind of a way for a different kind of segment of the population to join in on that kind of common theme that sports have. Like, they're not all athletic people who can play basketball, football, soccer, but they have other skills, and competing through esports and gaming has kind of allowed them to accept their differences and to kind of become one in the community, which I think is very important moving forward for more like global issues like equality and stuff. I think it's really important for that.
It's mostly like, I think that Keith deserves more attention, because I know that when he first, like, you know, made, I think it was a Reddit thread that really got his stream, like, you know, noticed, right? Because the Reddit community in League is quite huge, and if one thread starts getting traction, it'll become like on the front page. And I think that kind of died down, which is why I wanted to keep like bumping it up, because it's like, I think, you know, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but there are, like, you know, there's some streams that deserve more attention than others for like different reasons, and I think definitely Keith is one of them. Like, it shows that even like a disabled person can actually play video games just as well as anyone else.
Okay, so I use my cheek to use my mouse. I kind of use my cheekbone to hit the switch here, and then to use the other switch I use my earlobe, pressing this little tab that we have, I think it's glued on or onto the switch, so that's for my right click. And then to use the mouse wheel, I use my earlobe too. It's kind of hard to reach and use in game, especially with my headset on, so I don't use it that much. And also it's hard to do like perfect circles and stuff, moving the mouse like this, because I have to get a good grip on it with my cheek, and back and forth is pretty easy, but otherwise I can't do really good precision mouse movements. So then I also use the switches by my feet. So the switches by my feet, this one, it acts as my Q, this one's my W, E, R, and then this one's a stop command, and also ping when I use like shift. So then I have another switch by my elbow that I hold down, and it acts like a shift modifier. So then this becomes my ignite, and then this one becomes my item 2 slot, which I use like actives like Zanya's or Browne-King. And then this one's my flash, and this one is my item 3 for another active. So that's pretty much how I use the switches. It's pretty simple, but I often hit the wrong switch because I'm not used to the movement yet, because I can't see it, so it's all muscle memory. So it's something I'm still learning since this setup's actually fairly new, but it's good.
What really changed was, I was like, oh, okay, so this guy plays League or whatever. Sure, he plays with his face and that's cool, but then I watched some of his streams, I'm like, oh man, this sucks. This guy's like 10 times better than I am, and I'm fully bodied, like, like, come on, man. Yeah, he's just showing up for everybody.
I'm not surprised that video gaming is an avenue to raise funds. I know that since Keith's done his, I've seen some other stories on gamers using the games to fundraising. They're creating their own sort of, what they're called, their own people, you know, that people can pay for to raise money for cancer and things like that. So it's such a huge industry that why not? The amazing thing with Keith specifically was that he reached out to so many, raised so many funds in little increments. You know, gamers were giving $5, $5, $5, $5, no huge amounts, but it added up so quickly that, you know, for me, that was surprising to just see, you know, how many people were willing to give in the gaming community. But you know, knowing how large it is, I just think it took, you know, one really smart person to find that niche and do it, and he's definitely that person.
Hey everyone. So I'm here to talk today about a cause that's really close to my heart, and it's the Muscular Dystrophy Canada. This year I am, I guess, raising funds for the Surrey Muscular Dystrophy Walk, as you can see here on this page. I'm actually the ambassador for the walk because last year I helped, yeah, there's me. Last year I did a fundraiser where I played Guild Wars 2 for 12 hours. And then I continued playing the next 2 days after that too, to raise funds. And I raised over $8,000 doing this last year. And that was a pretty huge deal because most people don't raise even nearly that much as an individual. So Muscular Dystrophy made me the ambassador for this year's Surrey's Walk. And I kind of want to raise more than I did last year. I gotta be honest, it's a really important cause to me. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you find the time to watch me stream, or you can donate. That'd be awesome. It's going to a good cause.
I think he's got a large opportunity to continue doing streaming for League and probably make a large positive dent on, you know, on the community.
I want to say thank you to everyone that supports Keith and watches his stream. I come visit fairly often, and the people that visit the stream are just great people. And the people that donate to the causes that he campaigns for are great people as well. And it's a really amazing thing that he's doing.
And it's totally awesome that you guys are supporting Keith and Josh's projects. I think it's for a really great cause. And I hope it also shows you that, you know, there are, like, you know, good people out there.
And I don't know that it's the game itself or the video game genre. I think it's the individual. I mean, you're right, anything can be used for good or evil, you know, to banter a cliche around. And I think that's what's remarkable about Keith is that he's been able to take who he is and what he does and this online game and turn it into a way to benefit society.